Okay, hi y'all. So I came to a map conference to talk about not maps, right? I'm from Louisiana, you'll have to forgive me. My name is Michael McNeil. I am the GIS coordinator for the St. Tammany Parish Assessor's Office in Covington, Louisiana. This is my first time at NACIS, and it's also my first time presenting at a conference, so please bear with me. Thank you. Thank you. Before I begin, I would like to thank all of you for being here today, and a thank you to the conference organizers for giving me the opportunity to present today at NACIS. So, since this is my introduction to the world of presenting, just a little bit about me. I was born and raised in New Orleans, although I have always been told that I do not sound like I'm from there or from the South. And I'm not kidding either. This happened on the flight here. The people sitting next to me could not believe that I was from New Orleans, just based on my accent. I tell people that is because I actually was born in the wrong place. I physically may have been born in the hot, flat, humid South, but my soul is from the rugged, cold places of the world. So, as you can imagine, I'm excited to be here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest during my favorite season of the year to present a small sample of my work that may be helpful to some of you today. What I'm here to talk about today is the importance of authoring and adhering to data standards in a GIS environment. And to give you an idea of a simple way to set about documenting your standards for GIS. For my team at the STPAO, the effort to create and apply standards culminated in the creation of what we call the St. Tammany Parish Assessor's Office GIS Guidance Manual. So what exactly is the guidance manual? First, some background. The St. Tammany Parish Assessor's Office created its formal GIS department in 2013, so which by modern standards was quite late to the game. As you therefore can imagine, there was a lot of work to do. Dozens of other jurisdictions in Louisiana were already ahead of us in terms of capturing parcel data and creating public web maps. So we had a lot of catching up to do just in our state. The mission of the GIS department was simple. We wanted to create and maintain the authoritative parcel data for St. Tammany Parish and also share that data publicly via an interactive parcel map. Because we A, cared about the work we were doing, and B, were going to share it publicly, the data needed to look consistent, homogeneous, and professional. We thought that creating a useful, uniform, public-facing product would help strengthen public trust in the assessor's office, in addition to the much-needed government transparency it provided. In order to create the product, we needed to document and adhere to every decision we made regarding the creation and maintenance of the parcel data. One thing we said from the beginning of the project was that we did not want to start this over again in 5 years because we didn't, document those standards at the forefront. By caring about the quality of the data to this extent, we were ensuring its longevity. And so the STPAO GIS Guidance Manual was born. So why the guidance manual? It's easy to understand why something like the guidance manual needs to exist when you have multiple people working on the same product at the same time, right? If you are a one-person GIS shop, though, such an undertaking might not seem necessary. And that's how it began at our office as a one-person shop. We scaled up really quickly. We grew to a 10-person operation within a matter of months. So the challenge was to get everybody on board with producing the data in a consistent way. So what happens to the consistency of your product when you scale up that fast, when you go from a one-person shop to a full-blown department within the span of a few months, as it happened in our office? This is what happens. Okay. No rules, absolute chaos in the versioned environment. Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. Okay, GIS people, right? Yeah. So, how do we corral these well-meaning but nonetheless diverging GIS professionals by authoring and adhering to data standards and collection procedures. As a nascent digital minimalist, this has become my motto. Always start with what you already have. This can be applied to the physical things in your life. Think reusing plastic bags and glass containers, or harvesting the seeds from your plants instead of just automatically going and buying new plants. But you can also apply this to your digital life. Let me tell you a short related story. A few months ago, my wife, Sarah, decided to start her own business as an online fitness and wellness coach. She needed to make a website so she could get out there, and so she started exploring the options, Wix, Squarespace, and the like. Yeah, she started messing around with the development on a number of these platforms, and then she hit the paywalls. In order to go any further with her development, in order to publish her website, she had to register and pay, and she just wasn't satisfied with the products at that point. It wasn't until that point when she hit the paywalls, when we had to make a decision like, okay, which one are we going to pay for, that I remembered, wait a minute, we already pay for an Adobe account to manage my photography, and that account also gave us access to Adobe Portfolio, which allows you to create up to 5 portfolio websites as part of the subscription. So maybe we can just use that. And she did, and she hasn't looked back ever since. So we already had something that we could use to solve her problem. The lesson here is, before you start a new project, a new tech project, always ask yourself, what technology do I already have that might be able to solve this issue? And then always start there. For us at the STPAO, the search began and ended with OneNote. I'm fortunate enough to work in an office with a budget that can afford Microsoft Office. I know that. We already had access to this via the Office suite of products, so it got the first chance to prove itself. And it had staying power. It's real simple and easy to use, and it made sense for us. And we continue to use it for our guidance manual today. Here's a couple of screenshots from the guidance manual. We have extraction guidance that includes how to handle non-contiguous parcels, as seen in the slide, how to extract condos in the parcel layer, and how to extract mobile homes on land parcels. Our attribution guidance is driven by standardization. We use coded domains anywhere we can. We force all caps, limit the use of punctuation, and effort to eliminate redundancies in our data, in our attribute data. By the way, speaking of screenshotting for the win, I use a free and open source screenshotting application called GreenShot to take and mark up the screenshots for the guidance manual, where we can kind of document, what's going on in our world. The screenshot above extraction on this side is an example of that. I find GreenShot to be a simple, effective visual tool for documenting and communicating information to others. It's really useful as far as marking up your screenshots. All right, so the pros of OneNote. Let's take a page from Benjamin Franklin's notebook and do the pros and cons. For starters, you likely are already familiar with the layout of OneNote, as it resembles other Microsoft Office products that you may already use, like Word and Excel. Even Arc Pro, for example, uses the same schema for its skeleton now as Microsoft Office products. Second, for the viewers of your notebooks, there are 2 simple sharing options. You can share your notebooks via an internal network, or you can create a standalone website through OneNote itself that you can then share out to your team. Personally, I like the website option. It allows your readers to view the notebook from any computer as long as they have the link, which has really come in handy for us because we do contract some of our parcel work out to third parties. And so when we do that, we send them the guidance manual so that even they are then producing a product that looks exactly like the in-house production team. The website that OneNote creates for you it's simple, clean looking, it's easy to navigate, and it's intuitive. Finally, third, Microsoft has been around the block when it comes to software development, so there's not going to be a whole lot of downtime or bugs, etc., when using the application. It's comfortably stable, though it does have its limitations. The first limitation is obvious. Not every office can afford to shell out money for the Microsoft Office suite. An open source alternative might be better for a small shop. Second, which is my biggest con, is that OneNote does not support GIFs, which I'm a big fan of using GIFs to document like short procedures. And a third con, Microsoft OneNote does not allow you to customize the hyperlink to the internet shared version of the document. So even if there was some Microsoft branding in the hyperlink, just to make it a little more readable, would be nice if you could do something with that. So for the small shops, if you're going to go the open source route, I did do a little bit of homework on this. One thing I found was something called Zim. It's a desktop wiki application. So it's a little different from OneNote in that respect, but very similar. You could probably do the same, stand up the same kind of document with Zim. Another potential option, obviously, is to write your own document with Markhub and a GitHub repo. And doing so would enable GIFs. You would be able to, throw your GIFs in there. So that would be nice. I've thought about switching ours over to that, but it's kind of a big document at this point, so it'd be quite an undertaking. So to that end, let's get to the end. As you all know, there are a number of ways to do almost any process in GIS when it comes to collecting and maintaining and attributing data. When we started, we wanted our users to explore creating and maintaining data via procedures they developed on their own. We didn't want to limit them with too many rules and regulations as far as the tools and their methods go. We told the team at the beginning that it didn't matter to us how you made the data, but that it all looked the same at the end, both in terms of geometry and attribution. The finish line for our data was a homogeneous data product. No matter who did it or how they did it, at the end of the process, all the data needed to be uniform, seamless, and consistent. The only way to do that, in our estimation, was to record all the decisions we made regarding the collection of the data, and we made those decisions collectively. So not only were our analysts given some license to use different tools and procedures to collect and maintain the data, but they also were included in the conversation when it came time to make decisions about our guidance. The result of all our discussions and decisions have culminated in the documentation of standards and procedures that we have developed on our own, which we call the STPAO GIS Guidance Manual. And a fun fact about the guidance manual, it is now a 134-page document and counting, so it is quite cumbersome. One final note about cartographic standards. Basically, in the geospatial community, there's a tendency to celebrate the finished product, the maps, and rightfully so, right? They are beautiful and compelling and have the power to communicate to a wide audience. But the standards, guidance, decision-making, basically the discipline that goes into the maps that you create, I think that's beautiful too. And I see it. I see it in all the maps that you create and share. I know there are underlying principles and discipline being employed in the map-making process by all of you. And that, as much as your incredible maps, is worth acknowledging and celebrating too. I have some links here so I can share out the presentation afterwards, but that's all I have. Thank you.